Today, class, we are going to talk about the age of exploration, and by the end of this video, I expect you to be able to identify the reasons for Europe's age of exploration and identify major explorers in the area each explored. We'll talk about it in class tomorrow. There are many theories about who discovered the New World, which European was here first. However, it is undisputed that the Vikings were the first who left evidence of them being here. They were the first known Europeans to reach the New World, led by Leif Erikson. There are stories about a blue-eyed Welsh-speaking Indian tribe. However, no evidence was left, so we are unsure if that's even true. Now, the age of exploration, many reasons for exploration later on. The very first reasons were number one, finding a new trade route. They needed a new trade route due to the Crusades. We'll talk about that in just a minute. They wanted their silks, they wanted spices, they wanted new things from the Indies, from Asia, India, and China. They wanted all of these things. And then secondly, to spread Christianity while combating the spread of Islam. We'll talk about that in just a second. So here's your map of the world. Europe lays right here. This is where most of your world's population was that we talk about. And they are where we come from. The easiest is to sail across the Mediterranean and then caravan it across the Middle East to India and to China. Unfortunately, the Crusades are going on. The Crusades were those 7 holy wars, remember, against Islam, against Christianity. And both were fighting over the Holy Land. Now, the Islam people controlled this area, so unfortunately, they would not allow Christian Europes to walk across or to caravan across. Next, you think they'd go above and down. However, Russia has really rough winters, and people were freezing to death, so that wouldn't work. Next would be to sail down here. Unfortunately, Portugal controlled all of this, and pirates were attacking the other European countries from coming around the Cape of Good Hope to going up. So, Christopher Columbus, he went to several kings and queens and said, please send me west to get to the east. Now, of course, they did not consider this. Those kings and queens laughed at him until he got to Spain. Now, Spain was going through a pretty rough time. They were sending people to the Crusades. They were full supporters of the Catholic religion, and the Reformation was going on. So, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella needed a boost for Spain, so they decided to give in to him. Now, in August of 1492, they gave Christopher Columbus the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria to set sail in the Bahamas. He saw land October 12th, 1492, and he was so excited. Whenever he went back to Europe, he started bragging that he had found the Orient, that he had found India and China and all of this, and that they found a better trade route. So explorers started flocking to this new land he found. It wasn't until this man, Amerigo Vespucci, an Italian explorer, came over to the New World, and he realized that this was a new world, new land, not the Orient. So he goes back, and a German map maker points at the land as he's making the map and names it America. Hence how America is named after Amerigo Vespucci and not Columbus. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the explorers from each country. First, we're going to start with your Spanish conquistadors. Conquistadors is the Spanish word for Spanish explorers. First, you have Ponce de Leon. He went out and searched for the Fountain of Youth in 1513. He's important. It's this man right here. He's important because he was the first man to step foot on what is present day the United States. He stepped foot in Florida, and he was looking for the Fountain of Youth in Florida. Never said whether he found it or not. Next, you have Hernando de Soto, right here. He discovered the Mississippi River. He was the first one to see it, and he discovered it. Another conquistador you have is Francisco de Coronado. He went out in search for the famed cities of Cibola. He was the man who saw the Grand Canyon first and all of those things. Explored Texas, everything. Now he's significant because he founded the oldest permanently inhabited city in the United States, St. Augustine, and this was in 1565. You can still go visit St. Augustine in Florida today, and it's still considered the oldest city in America. That hasn't ever changed. Now, English and Spain rivals, along with France. Let's talk about England for a minute. Now, in 1497, John Cabot comes over to the New World. He lays claim to all of North America for England. North America is huge. No way he could claim it all, but he did claim portions of it along the Atlantic Ocean. Now, a few years later, Queen Elizabeth becomes queen, and her sister Bloody Mary had passed away. She needed glory. She had changed religion back to Protestant. The people loved her. She needed glory. She wanted more. So she didn't really let this be known, but she came up with sea dogs. These are English naval captains who would go to the New World where the Spanish explorers are taking gold and things from the Native Americans, stealing, pirating, and taking it all the way back to England for England. Now, the best sea dog, most famous, was Sir Francis Drake. He went all the way over to the New World. He stole the riches, sailed down around South America and back to England so that Spain couldn't catch him. He was the first Englishman to go around the earth. He followed Magellan's path. Now, Queen Elizabeth was so proud of him that she knighted him for that. Talk about French for a minute. You have Jacques Cartier right here. He discovered the St. Lawrence River. He was looking for a northwest passage, somewhere to go from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean in the north and not have to go all the way around South America. Never found it. Then you have La Salle right here. He was the first person to sail down the Mississippi and claim all of that land for France. Louisiana, New Orleans, all of that was claimed for France. Even part of Texas was claimed for France. Unfortunately, he didn't get to keep the part of Texas that was. Then you have Samuel de Champlain. He is considered the father of New France, and he founded Quebec. Okay, that's all for our explorers. Please make sure that you finish your whisk and bring it tomorrow.